Today, let's explore a country in southern Africa whose story is just full of dramatic extremes. It's a place of breathtaking beauty and staggering wealth, yet it's also haunted by a history of deep, deep suffering. This is Angola, a land of paradoxes. At the very heart of Angola's story is this fundamental clash. On one side, you have a treasure trove of natural resources, the kind of wealth that could power a continent. And on the other, you have the deep scars of conflict and the ongoing struggle of its people. To understand how both of these realities can be true at the same time, we need to look at where all its potential comes from.
You see, to really get Angola, you first have to grasp the sheer scale of its natural riches. This is a country that is, quite literally, built on a foundation of massive potential. And it all starts with one resource above all others: oil, black gold. It's not just a part of the economy. For decades, it was the Angolan economy. It's what makes Angola one of Africa's major economic powers.
And this chart really tells the story of just how dominant oil is. I mean, look at this, a staggering 88% of all exports. This one commodity dictates the country's fortunes, making it incredibly rich, but also incredibly vulnerable to swings in global prices. The second pillar of Angola's wealth glitters with both beauty and a dark history. We're talking about diamonds. The country is one of the world's top producers, a source of immense fortune, but historically also a driver of conflict. And the list just keeps going. It's not just about oil and diamonds. Underneath the soil, you'll find major deposits of iron ore, copper, gold, even uranium. So the key takeaway here is that Angola's potential isn't based on one or two things. It's this vast, diverse portfolio of natural wealth just waiting to be fully tapped. And all this wealth is found within a stunning landscape. Over 90% of the country is a vast plateau, creating a terrain that supports an incredible diversity of life, from elephants and lions in the savannas to the rich marine life off the Atlantic coast. So here's the big question, right? With all this incredible wealth, why does Angola still face so many challenges? To answer that, we have to turn from geography to history, because the past casts a very, very long shadow here. Angola's story has been defined by foreign control and internal conflict. It all began with the arrival of the Portuguese in the late 1400s, which led to nearly 500 years of colonial rule. But independence in 1975 wasn't a moment of celebration. Instead, it was day one of a devastating civil war that would last for 27 years. Before the Civil War, there was an even deeper wound. For 3 centuries, the colony's main business was the slave trade. An estimated 5 million people were forcibly taken from this land, shipped mostly to Brazil. The human cost is almost impossible to comprehend. So when independence finally arrived, the country immediately shattered. The Angolan Civil War was one of the longest and deadliest conflicts of the Cold War. You had the ruling MPLA, backed by the Soviet Union and Cuba, while rival movements, UNITA and FNLA, got support from the US and South Africa. It was a war that tore apart families, ethnic groups, and the very fabric of the nation. The war finally ended in 2002. So what does Angola look like today after 2 decades of peace? What's the modern reality? Well, as you might expect, it's a picture of stark contrasts. On a macro level, the economy is huge. With a GDP of over $370 billion, Angola is an economic powerhouse in the region. That's a direct result of its massive oil exports. But here is the paradox in a single slide. Despite that massive GDP, Angola ranks 150th in the world on the Human Development Index. That index measures things like life expectancy, education, and standard of living. So the key point here is that the nation's wealth is not translating into well-being for the majority of its people. And take a look at where all this wealth is going. A massive 61% of Angola's exports head to just one country, China. This has fueled incredible infrastructure development, but it's also created a profound economic dependence. And here's another mind-blowing contradiction. 80% of the workforce is in agriculture, and yet the country imports 80% of its food. How is that even possible? Well, the Civil War decimated the farming sector, and the focus on oil starved it of investment, leaving a nation of farmers unable to feed itself. And while all this is happening, the population is absolutely booming. With a growth rate of over 3.3%, it's one of the fastest growing countries on Earth.
This puts enormous pressure on schools, hospitals, and infrastructure that are all still recovering from decades of war. Behind all of these statistics, of course, are the people, over 37 million of them, and their future and the future of the nation really hangs in the balance. Angola is a mosaic of diverse peoples. The three largest ethnic groups, the Ovimbundu, Mbundu, and Bakongo, make up the majority, but there are many others, each with its own unique culture and history. These ethnic lines were tragically exploited during the Civil War. And yet, there's a powerful unifying force: language. As a legacy of its colonial past, over 71% of the population speaks Portuguese at home. This makes Angola the second largest Portuguese-speaking country in the world, and it provides a common tongue that bridges ethnic divides. The nation's deepest aspiration is right there in its motto, Virtus Unita Fortior, or Unity Provides Strength. After centuries of division, slavery, and war, the national motto reflects a profound understanding that the only path forward is together. Which brings us back to the ultimate question. The country has the wealth, it has the people, it's had 2 decades of peace, but can it overcome the ghosts of its past and the paradoxes of its present to finally build a future where its incredible riches benefit all of its citizens? That remains Angola's greatest challenge.